Imagine you are the royal embalmer of Thebes, standing alone in the house of purification as moonlight spills across the white calcite slab. The air is thick with myrrh, cedar resin, and the faint metallic scent of natron. Before you lies the body of Queen Nefertari, not just any queen, but the great royal wife whose beauty was sung across 2 continents. Tonight the high priests have given you instructions that make your stomach twist and your hands tremble. They have not asked you to simply remove organs, dry the flesh, and wrap her in linen for eternity. No, they demand something far more intimate, far more forbidden. You must preserve her in a state of perfect, aroused readiness. Every curve, every fold, every secret place prepared as though she will awaken in the field of reeds and immediately resume her divine role as the living vessel of cosmic creation. This is no ordinary mummification. This is the moment you realize that what the world calls ancient Egyptian civilization was built on a foundation of sexual power so absolute, so central, so terrifyingly real that entire dynasties rose and fell depending on whether the pharaoh could prove, again and again, that his body, his seed, his stamina could keep the Nile rising, the crops growing, and the gods smiling. You think you know Egypt. You've seen the golden mask of Tutankhamun, the colossal statues of Ramses, the perfect symmetry of the pyramids. But what almost no museum dares display, what almost no documentary dares narrate, what Victorian archaeologists literally plastered over or locked in secret drawers, is the raw, unfiltered truth. Sexuality was not a private indulgence in ancient Egypt. It was state religion, national security, cosmic engineering. If you can handle the darkness that comes next, smash that like button right now. Type, "I'm ready" in the comments. Share this video with one person who thinks history is boring. And hit subscribe so we never stop peeling back the layers history tried to bury. Because once you see what I'm about to show you, you will never look at a pyramid, a temple, or even a simple lotus flower the same way again. Between roughly 3100 BCE and 30 BCE, along the green ribbon of the Nile, a civilization developed that treated sexual energy as the literal fuel of existence. The pharaoh was not just a king. He was a living god whose erections, ejaculations, and stamina were understood to be in direct magical sympathy with the annual inundation. If the king failed to demonstrate divine potency, through ritual performance, through sacred marriage with a high priestess, through public displays that left no doubt, the Nile might not rise, the barley might wither, the people might starve. This was not poetry. This was policy. Temple reliefs tourists never see show pharaohs with exaggerated erect members standing before offering tables piled high with lettuce, because ancient Egyptians believed lettuce sap looked like semen, and eating it increased virility. Min, the ithyphallic god of fertility, is depicted with an enormous penis that priests would anoint, stroke, and ritually activate during festivals. Sexuality was sacred technology. Every orgasm was understood as a small-scale version of the moment Autumn masturbated the universe into being. Every act of penetration mirrored the moment Shu and Tefnut were born from the Creator's hand. Every moan, every thrust, every release was prayer made flesh. And because this power was so enormous, the rules around it were brutal. Adultery could end in mutilation or drowning. A wife caught with another man might have her nose cut off. A man caught with a married woman might lose his penis entirely. Yet at the same time, love poetry from Deir el Medina sings with tenderness. Your breasts are like ripe sycamore figs, your mouth sweeter than wine. Women could own land, initiate divorce, testify in court, become scribes, even rule as Pharaoh Hatshepsut wore the false beard and bull's tail, yet her statues still show feminine curves beneath the kilt. Power and sensuality were not opposites, they were twins. If this contrast between tenderness and violence fascinates you, hit like again. Let the algorithm know we're diving deep tonight. Comment your country. I want to see how many continents are awake right now listening to this. And subscribe if you want the full, uncensored journey through history's hidden rooms. Now let's go darker. The Turin erotic papyrus, the closest thing we have to an ancient Egyptian adult comic, shows men and women in every imaginable position. Women on top, men behind, oral sex, group scenes, even animals watching with cartoonish expressions. The drawings are joyful, explicit, shameless. Women are active, laughing, sometimes directing the action. This was not hidden pornography. It was found in a workman's tomb. Sex was funny, messy, divine, human. Yet when 19th century excavators uncovered such papyri, they blushed, censored translations, locked originals away. The British Museum still keeps thousands of sensitive Egyptian objects in restricted storage. Why? Because Victorian morality could not accept that one of the greatest civilizations on Earth celebrated sex so openly. But the truth is even more shocking when we look at the religious festivals. The most famous, and most misunderstood, is the Feast of Hathor, often called the Feast of Drunkenness. Every year Egyptians drank themselves into a state of divine possession to remember how Ra saved humanity from Sekhmet's rage. Legend says Sekhmet was slaughtering mankind until Ra tricked her into drinking beer dyed red with ochre. She thought it was blood, drank until she passed out, and woke up as gentle Hathor, goddess of love, music, dance, and sex. So every year the temples brewed enormous vats of beer, sometimes laced with blue lotus, mandrake, or opium, and the population drank until the boundary between human and divine dissolved. For several days and nights, normal rules vanished. People danced naked in the streets. Music never stopped. Couples and groups coupled openly in temple courtyards. Women lifted their skirts and danced with men they had never met. Priests and priestesses performed sacred sexual rites in full view. Foreign visitors, Greeks, Persians, later Romans, wrote home in horror. They copulate like beasts in the streets. But to the Egyptians, this was not debauchery. It was cosmic maintenance. By becoming drunk and sexually uninhibited, they allowed Hathor to enter them, to renew creation through human bodies. Was it always consensual? No. Power imbalances were enormous. Slaves, especially young female slaves, were often forced to participate. Children born 9 months after the festival sometimes carried a special status or a terrible stigma. Yet the festival also gave ordinary people a rare moment to break every social rule without punishment. Masters could be humiliated by slaves. Wives could take lovers. Social revenge could be taken under the cover of divine possession. If you're still with me, if your heart is racing, smash that like button hard. Share this video and tag someone who needs to know the real story behind the postcards and museum gift shops. Subscribe so we can keep going deeper together. Now let's talk about the darkest edge, the children of the temples. Some elite families donated their youngest daughters and sons to temple service, a great honor, they were told. These children, sometimes as young as 6 or 7, were trained in music, dance, and yes, sexual technique. They learned specific postures, breathing patterns, ways to prolong pleasure for hours during ritual enactments of divine marriage. Medical papyri describe the toll. Torn tissues, chronic infections, stunted growth from malnutrition meant to keep them looking childlike longer. Mortality was high. Survivors often carried trauma that modern psychologists would instantly recognize: dissociation, hypersexuality, inability to form healthy bonds. The religious justification was cruelly elegant. Your body does not belong to you, it belongs to the goddess. Serving her sexually is the highest worship. Your family is blessed by your selection. Refusal brings divine wrath on everyone you love. Was this universal? No. Was it rare? No. Temple records, legal contracts for the sale of trained child slaves, and even some tomb biographies hint at the scale. And when the Nile failed to flood, when famine loomed, the rituals grew more desperate, more extreme, because the survival of millions depended on convincing the gods that Egypt was still worthy of fertility. If this part hurts to hear, good. It should. History is not a feel-good story, but facing it makes us braver. Like this video if you believe uncomfortable truth is better than comfortable lies. Comment truth over comfort if you agree. Share it so more people wake up. And subscribe, we're not done yet. Now let's look at the royal mummies themselves. When modern CT scans and DNA analysis began, surprises kept appearing. Some high-status male mummies had their penises mummified in an erect position, deliberately posed with resin to maintain rigidity into eternity. This was not decay, this was design. They wanted to enter the afterlife potent, ready to fertilize the cosmos forever. Other mummies show circumcision, common in Egypt long before it appeared in the Bible. Some show ritual scarring or tattooing on the inner thighs and pubic area, marks of devotion to Hathor or Bastet. And yes, a few show surgical removal of genitals, but almost always post-mortem, symbolic, meant to purify or perfect the body for the next world. The idea that pharaohs or princes were systematically castrated while alive as religious practice is not supported by mainstream Egyptology. It's a sensational leap from rare, ambiguous cases. But the fact remains, genitals were sacred. They were preserved, enhanced, displayed, protected, or ritually transformed because they were seen as the engine of creation itself. Victorian archaeologists who found explicit statues of Min, Ithyphallic Osiris, or couples locked in coitus often refused to publish them. Some were literally smashed. Others were stored in secret museums, accessible only to serious scholars. That prudish silence lasted well into the 20th century. Even today, many museums display sanitized versions of temple reliefs, digital fig leaves over erect members, cropped frames, vague captions, but the evidence is still there. The Turin papyrus, the reliefs at Dendera, the private letters and love spells on ostraca, the medical texts describing aphrodisiacs, contraceptives, and treatments for sexual injuries. Egypt did not hide sex, later cultures hid Egypt's sex. If you feel angry that so much has been kept from us, channel that energy. Like this video, share it widely, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next revelation. Because we're reclaiming history one truth at a time. As the centuries passed, foreign rulers tried to tame this wild spirituality. The Ptolemies, Greek pharaohs, participated in the festivals but cringed at the openness. Cleopatra VII mastered the performance. She spoke Egyptian, dressed as Isis, and acted sacred marriage with Antony, but she also knew Rome was watching. When Augustus conquered Egypt in 30 BCE, he was disgusted. Explicit temple art was defaced. Priests were silenced. Festivals were restricted or banned. The living tradition of cosmic sexuality was driven underground. Yet fragments survived, in Coptic magic, in Islamic folklore about pharaohs and jinn, in the stubborn erotic imagination of the Nile Valley that still lingers today. And now, in the 21st century, we are finally reading the papyri without blushing, scanning the mummies without prejudice, listening to the love poems without censorship. We are remembering that one of humanity's greatest civilizations believed desire was holy, bodies were temples, pleasure was prayer, and sex was the heartbeat of the universe. You have just walked through the shadowed chambers most people never enter. How does it feel? Does it unsettle you, inspire you, anger you? Whatever it does, let it move you. Hit like if this changed something inside you tonight. Comment one word or one sentence that captures what you're feeling right now. Share this with someone who thinks history is only dates and dead kings. And please subscribe because there are so many more forbidden rooms waiting to be opened. The embalmer's work is finished. Nefertari is wrapped, anointed, ready for eternity. But her story and the story of an entire civilization's relationship with the body is finally being unwrapped for the world to see. Thank you for walking this path with me. You're not just watching history, you're helping resurrect it. Like, share, subscribe. And keep asking questions no one else dares to ask. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, stay awake.